Om Gyana Timirandasya, Gyana Janasalakaya, Setsur Militam, Yena Tasmai, Si Gurube Namaha. Sachetaya Manobistam, Shaitam, Yena Brutale, Swayam Rupam, Kadamayam, Dadat Swapadantika, Pancha Kalpatari Vyacha, Kripasun Vyacha, Patitanam Pavan Vyo, Vaishnavi Vyo, Namo. Ha. So we're happy to be here tonight. I think it's my first time of coming to this place. Happy to see very promising, vibrant kids and staff, parents. Prabhupada wanted our society to be also an emblem of education because we are different from the traditional temples or mandis. And Prabhupada came to the West to establish this system, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, as an ashram. Ashram is a place where spiritual knowledge is not only taught, but is cultivated. It is applied in people's lives. Why? To be able to engender transformation. So he wanted us to have a set of education system for our children. And that is how the birth of the Gurukula system came to be in ISKCON. So in the past, we had thought that just sending our children to be taught in the Gurukul, we finish from the Gurukul, and that is the end of it all. I bet we'll find that was not very productive. So within the recent past, the Gurukul system has been expanded to incorporate secular programs, secular educational courses into the system, and a number of the students who excel did even decide to go further with the studies. I know one young lady in America, she went to the Gurukul system. She's a medical doctor now. I know one young man who went through the Gurukul system. She's pursuing a law degree. I know another young man who passed through the Gurukul system in Mayapur. He has a master's degree. So yeah, we passed through the Gurukul to create a foundation for our children. It's not that when they pass out from the Gurukul, that should be the end of the education. No. Because in the 21st century, if you don't have high educational skills, it becomes difficult to fend for yourself and your family. Therefore, there has been a lot of reforms in our Gurukul system, and especially in Mayapur, they're really doing well, and that opportunities have been created for students who desiring or who deserve to go for higher studies. They have that opportunity. So education is something that we cannot play with, because the future of our children depend on skills development. And the important factor is to be able to incorporate the studies, the students who are studying. The important factor is to be able to incorporate their learning skills or their learning processes with devotional sadhana. In fact, Srila Vyasadeva mentioned this in the Upanishad. He says, we have to cultivate science and nations side by side. It means education in devotional culture, devotional practice, and professional development side by side. That requires a lot of effort and input that we need to implant in our children for a sustainable future. And one of the ways to be able to achieve that successfully is to see how we are conducting ourselves and implanting the spirit of integration in our children. Integration, believe it or not, is a very difficult thing. In calculus, the very beginning of calculus is integration. And sometimes the students, they run away from the class because integration is very abstract, very difficult. So we find situations where people think, well, I will do only devotional service. I will not go to any school. And then, I'll just be a brahmachari. I will not go to any school. So devotional service in itself is not so easy. In fact, there is nothing good that comes easy in this world. But majority of our children will be getting married. So we have to prepare them for that real situation. We can't play around. We should never, ever try to screw up our children by thinking, this is all that you need, just know how to chant Hare Krishna, and that's it. You don't need anything else. That mentality has to go, has to be buried in the graveyard. Because the practical reality is that people need skills, our children need skills to be able to integrate into the bigger society. They will have families. Okay? And family means you need skills to get a good job, to fend for your family, to get good money to fend for your family. Listen, I have a standard. See, I was in South Africa, South America. I was in Argentina. One professor, he came to me, a devotee, he came to me, he said, Maharaj, what are the requirements for you to accept someone as a disciple? I said, but you already initiated. Why are you asking me this question? He said, I'm asking for orders. I said, okay. I said, apart from the 4 regulative principles that people have to keep, chanting 16 rounds, the person who is aspiring to take a decision from me must be a professional. He said, can you explain? I said, at least the 1st degree. He said, oh, you don't want many disciples? I said, of course. I want people that will form a family. I know how I benefited from that type of family relationship with my guru. My guru will call me sometimes, at a very odd hour I never expected, just to find out how I'm doing. This is exactly the way a parent does to their children. I said, I want to maintain that relationship with the few disciples I have. Arjuna is a generalissimo. He has so much of broad-based, high-profile knowledge culture in theory and practice. But Arjuna had some confusion in his life in terms of executing his duties. And then he got clarification from his guru, he got clarification from Krishna. So we want our children also to have that opportunity in the future to get clarifications from their mentors. We should not create a barricade of many people who are, see, if you have a father, you don't have your younger or your older brother who has to mediate between you and your father. Is there anybody here that your older brother has a mediate between you and your father? You go to your father and talk to him. You might be the last born. You might be the last born. You go to him and talk to him about your problem. And then daddy addresses your problem. Every child has that privilege. We want to create communities. A community community comes from two words, commune and unity. Commune means empathic communication. Empathic communication implies putting yourself in the other person's shoes. What you say, if they tell you that, how you will feel. And unity means to come together. So our schools are a community of Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. A place where Krishna consciousness is the bedrock, where empathic communication is the watchword, and unity is the staple food. So our teachers, the managers, administrators of gurukuls have to implement strategies that will facilitate the development of our children so that they can integrate into the bigger society and prepare for a sustainable future. That calls for a lot of unity from the parents, the school administrators, and the students themselves. Education ultimately means self-realization. If you go into the etymology of education, it's rooted in the Greek word educare, which literally implies self-realization. Therefore, education without spirituality or devotional culture could be disastrous. And we have seen it. We have seen it all. Look, the President of the United States talking about education without sadhana, education without self-realization, education without spiritual culture. In other words, education that is replete with spiritual bankruptcy. You go down, you become like a little kid. I'll give you an example. The President of the United States, the past president and the present president. The United States is being mocked at now by the whole world. They said, we are operating on what some of these critics say a felonocracy. You know what felonocracy means? Felonocracy means a government that is run by felons. And so we go about with this. But it's not the making of anybody who is authentic or genuine. When the masses are docile, generally speaking, the leaders we have are a reflection of the mindset of the members of the community. And so we want to create a community of authentic Vaishnavas and Vaishnavas, people who have Krishna at their core, who have values, who are authentic human beings. See, the chanting, this is my slogan. The chanting of 16 rounds just makes us authentic human beings. Authentic human beings means that we can resist temptation. We can say no to temptation. Otherwise, life is like, a water on a leaf. You could drop down from the leaf anytime and melt into the ground. And that's what life has been for most people who are not practicing devotional culture. So we want our children to incorporate devotional sadhana in their lives. They may grow up to become, the Prime Minister of UK, but they have spiritual culture sadhana at the core. In that case, they will not be bewildered by the illusory energy. They will not become felons. And it's so perfect. I was discussing with people when we are coming. We have research studies that shows how just by chanting Hare Krishna, you can never become a felon. Oh yeah. Nada Muni, is he a felon? He had Nada Muni indicted by anyone, anywhere? No. What is his power? Krishna. 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 Hare Krishna. So we want the parents of the children, want the staff, administrators, to help their children to become authentic human beings by integrating devotional sadhana in their life. Just the education alone is not enough, because the 10th director for International Monetary Fund is a French guy. His name is Strauss-Kahn. You know what it takes to become the director for International Monetary Fund, IMF? He lost his job. Why? Devotional bankruptcy. Because of devotional bankruptcy, he lost his job. Devotional bankruptcy means we live a life, you can be such a great achiever, but no devotional culture, no sadhana, no practice. Therefore, you don't have any control over your senses and the mind. And the next time, you just become a criminal. Strauss-Kahn, he went to New York. He had a beautiful wife in France. Beautiful wife. She's also highly learned. But he went to New York and got attracted to a maid, hotel maid. That's how he was apprehended, indicted, found guilty, sent to jail, he lost his job. We want our children to integrate devotional practice with their professional development. That is in pursuance of fulfilling the objective of Srila Vyasadeva, who stated in this Upanishad that we have to cultivate science and nations side by side. This is authentic education. Our Gurukuls should provide that for our children. The Prabhupada does not give long classes. And there's an adage, a wise saying that says, a word is enough for the wise. Any comments or questions? Yes.
The question you spoke about everybody having access to the Father.
Yeah.
So you see this now. A good example is Prabhupada.
Uh-huh.
There was very little access for the disciples. There was so much, some never even met Prabhupada, just through a letter. That's all the access you had, or, just carry on, Prabhupada is your guru. So how do we see that, and what you're trying to work upon, that, you want to make sure the people you have, you can look after them?
Sure. My Guru Maharaj also looked up after us. He had many disciples, but I'll give you an example. For instance, when there is a program, say in Gitanagri or in Washington, D.C., each and every disciple has an opportunity to meet him, even if it's 5 minutes. Why? Because, see, we reveal our hearts to somebody that we have trust in. Let me tell you a story. A couple was asked to do a sketch for Tulsi. And so the wife of this devotee, she did the sketch. So she brought it to the senior devotee to use for Tulsi. And he said, and I have that document with me. And he said, this is so horrible. The devotee like Prabhupada disciple. She was crying. Husband was crying. But they already fixed the skirt. She put it on Tulsi anyway. The next morning, Prabhupada came to the temple room. The first thing that Prabhupada said that this is just a wonderful skirt for Tulsi. So you see, the pure devotee's perception, vice versa, the perception of the other devotees. So, you see, a Prabhupada came on an emergency mission. In fact, when Bhakti Siddhanta instructed him to initially to go to the West to preach, he said, the India is under British rule. We have to deal with that problem. So Bhakti Siddhanta said that the Krishna consciousness cannot wait for anybody. We cannot wait for, this type of political intrigues. So Prabhupada came on an emergency program. In fact, he gave science initiation to people at a very, if some of them were pretty young. But he said he was an emergency mission, and some will survive, some will not survive. It's like you're sending a troop to the war front. You don't expect all of them to survive, no matter how well equipped we are with ammunition. So Prabhupada knew that. But he has to do the will of the Lord, the will of his spiritual master, to come to spread Krishna consciousness. See, the point is that even for Prabhupada, he gave quality time to his disciples. Even for those who were not able to meet him. But you see, I spoke with a number of Prabhupada disciples, and Prabhupada was very much eager to meet his disciples. Sometimes the bureaucracy is created by his secretaries. But if Prabhupada had some devotee who wants to see him, no, he was very, very eager to meet him. Because these are people who gave their lives to Prabhupada. And so we find also in the Vedic culture, Nanda Muni will travel from one place to the other, visiting his disciples. Why? Because even a moment of association with a pure devotee could transform anyone. So I had that privilege. See, when one of my disciples, that at the time she was a young girl studying medicine in Manchester. So at the time I had a secretary in America. But this girl in Manchester studying medicine, she sent me a message. She said, Maharaj, my relationship with you, I don't want anybody to be in the middle. If you have any message for me, you send it to me directly. If you have any engagement for me, you give me direct instructions. I said, I hear you. So that was not strange to me. I knew the benefit that I received by my association with my guru. And I want my disciples to get that same benefit. That's my point. There are some people who may have, a Prabhupada instructed Japataka Swami to have at least 50,000 disciples. That was his instruction. Oh, yeah. If the guru gave you that type of instruction, for better or for worse, you have to execute it. And he has even climbed that, he has done beyond what Prabhupada told him. There is an instruction. But in general, we don't have, what did Lord Chaitanya say? Nadana, Najana, Nadana, Nasundari. He said he doesn't want many followers. Why? Because what happened traditionally, Prabhupada even mentioned it. When you take a disciple, when you initiate a disciple, at the time of initiation, the guru takes the sinful reactions. Is suicidal. It's suicidal. But someone has to do the dirty job. It's not a pleasure. Sacrificing your life, putting yourself in the front to be gunned down. That's what happens. And this is one of the reasons why some of the gurus, they have problems. See, disciples are committing sinful activities. It impacts on the consciousness of the guru. Oh, yeah. So it's a dangerous game. And in most cases, disciples don't seem to understand that. I have gone to countries, South America, the Caribbean, in America where I stay, India, and I've seen in some countries, I mean, I'm not criticizing. I'm telling you, it's called, in research, we call it lived experience. What you see yourself. It's not somebody telling you. I've seen cases where people are so baka, they're so dedicated to the service of Prabhupada, service of their guru, following the regulatory principle. I've also seen people who are even second initiates. They are living with the opposite sex. They are not married. I've seen that. It doesn't enthuse people like me to take disciples. Yes, so these are some of the reasons. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other comment or question? Yes, please.
What would be your advice in terms of the children? Nowadays, we're living in the 21st century, and most of the things
Smartphones.
all of the digital. You can say digital. Even India Prime Minister is saying we need to be digitalized everything. Whereas nowadays we're living in UK, which is people have so much advantage. So in terms of the even in the Gurukula, they said you have to tell your children to cut down the screen time. How would you control or how do you manage integrate it towards the devotional service? Because the screen time nowadays is really
No, I understand. Not only children, even adults. I know people who got sacked from their jobs because of internet and smartphones. I know students who fell out from university because of internet and smartphones. So this is not a joke. Okay? So the point is that we should be regulated. We should teach our children to be regulated. We should give screen time to our children. It's not that, listen, I met one lady, a Caucasian, white lady in New York. In New York. She is the dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences in New York State University. We went for a leadership conference, women leadership conference in upstate New York. And this lady, she's a Jewish lady. Immediately she understood that I was a monk. Oh, she came to me and opened up all of her life stories. At the time, she had two kids. They were teenagers. One was, I think, 16. The other one was 13. Girls. She said she has everything that any human being can have. That's what she told me. She has the resources. But in her house, no one watches television in their private rooms. But yeah, she's not Hindu. She's a Jewish. Okay. So I was taken aback because I was thinking, wow. Screen time. That's a question. So she said she and the whole family, her husband and her kids, that's a period that they use on the screen reading news and social programs. She selected special education. Because she's a psychologist and she knows the impact of audio visuals on the conscious. In fact, in the US military, if a soldier is too sensitive to killing, you know what they do? They put you in a room and put on violent movies where killing is going on. It's a matter of a short time. The soldier becomes desensitized to killing. That is the power of the screen. It can make anybody, not only children, it can change anybody's attitude, anybody's values into a state where they never have thought of. That is the power of audiovisuals. So yes, it is not so good if we don't regulate our children, even ourselves, adults, if we don't regulate our screen time. Because what is going on the screen? Fighting, sex. These are the major sinful activities going on. And when you get exposed to this type of energies, whether you like it or not, there is a principle, a model, or theory called the field. According to Professor Lewin, a German psychologist, he developed the field theory in 1938 and 39. And the field theory stipulates that the environment impacts on our values. So if you're watching violent movies, you'll get affected. If you're watching pornography, you'll be sexually stimulated. That anybody, just anybody who does this, you will have the effect. If not immediately, later. So yes, we need to regulate our exposure, our screen exposure, including our children. It's a big thing. So many professors have written books now on this same topic because it's a big problem now. So yes, buying telephones to your kids, it's a good thing. But, you have to see how they don't get exposed to too much of the internet and destroy themselves. Yeah. Any other comments or questions? Yes. Follow.
In olden times, education was as per Varnashram. So a Brahmin and Shudra wouldn't study in the same place, and the Guru would study the psychological nature of the child. So sometimes, and this education is like, it's just based on passing an exam, and now also, like, due to AI, so many IT people are losing jobs. So many people are questioning, is education alone is enough? A modern education also has flaws, and we can't even completely go back to the traditional system. So where do we find that?
Yeah, the educational system alone is not enough because we need also morals. And education does not teach us ethicality. Unethicality is the main cause of the challenges we have in modern day society. There's nothing wrong in developing a knife. How we use the knife is the problem. The doctor uses the knife for surgery. The armed robber uses the knife to kill. The same knife. But there is nothing wrong with acquiring high-profile education. How we get exposed to the little energy in the process is what matters. There's nothing wrong in acquiring skills or developing professional skills, but how we use it, how we incorporate that in our lives to accelerate our progress in Krishna consciousness, that is the challenge. Some people don't have those skills, and they need to develop them. They need to learn those skills. So we can't say, well, our technology is very bad. Each time I bought this big aircraft, like I was flying from New York, to London. a big, very big aircraft. I thought, each time I bought this flight, I used to reflect, wow, human brain, technology. They make this big thing to float in the air. We can make this type of big innovations. And what about Krishna consciousness? Someone can really invest their energies in Krishna consciousness and become a pure soul, where you can see Krishna face to face. If we can use our brain to develop a gigantic aircraft that floats in the air, like a ship floating in the air, think about it. Think about the power of the human brain. And so, yes, your point is correct. The education alone is not enough. We need to incorporate ethical values, Krishna consciousness in our life. Otherwise, yes, we'll lose our jobs. Right? AI is making people to be redundant on their jobs. But it is a development. It is an advancement. Everything has its pros and cons. Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, if someone, I had this situation with one family. If someone is mature, they've gone to college, they got a degree, so they want to settle down, they get married, they are eager to have children. But if you don't follow the science of procreation as prescribed in the Garbhadha Samskara, you can have children that you will regret for the rest of your life. That will make you sad for the rest of your life. Because what you want them to do, they won't do it. They say no. They say, mommy, no. You know this. The host my host in one of the states, one of the cities I traveled to in Pennsylvania. She was telling me how the older son sent a message to her that the Indians, okay, the kids are also Indians. I think the second child was born in America, but then the older son, he was not born in America, and I think they had him before they came to Krishna consciousness. So perhaps they didn't follow the Garbhadha Samskara. So here's a situation where someone has a good heart. I want children to take care of. And then the children grow up and they're completely in disharmony. As they're grown up, they're completely in disharmony with their parents. The parents are just wanting, they may even know better. I know the case of another boy. This guy has a PhD in economics in Washington, D.C. When the boy got admission scholarship to go to MIT, immediately he started MIT, his undergraduate program. He came home one day and he told the dad, Papa, listen, I'm not going with you to anywhere, temple, whatever. The father had a PhD. He just started his undergraduate studies. So back to the other scenario, this boy, the two of them, they grow up. The other one has graduated. The second one is still in college. They told the parents they will now follow their system of Krishna consciousness. And the children, the parents, they've seen the other kids who are even when in college and they're still leading the Pandavasena groups and they're actively involved in devotional service, chanting and doing everything and along with their studies. Their own children, they told the parents openly, we're not going to follow anything. Go to hell. So we are good attention to nurse the children, but why they come up with their mentality, we don't know. And therefore, it's a good adventure, it's a good intention, it's a good proposal, but we cannot say. So there's nothing wrong in having children. What they turn up to be is the issue. Nothing wrong in having applying AI. Is what the results are is the problem. So yeah, we cannot reject anything based on face value, but we can watch to see the outcome. Then we'll be able to make determine how good or bad it is in our life. But then we need to protect ourselves from this type of infiltration so that we don't kill ourselves when we experience what opposite of what we expected. Yeah. There's nothing wrong. The only deficiency in the material world is Christian consciousness. Technology, we have. So we have to incorporate. And also, we have the tools, even in terms of, forming, creating a very powerful family unit. We have the tools. But most people don't even know the tools. Most people don't even utilize the tools. Those who even know don't utilize the tools. So everything in Christian consciousness is streamlined in such a way that we can grow and make progress. We want God, Krishna conscious children, follow the Gabata Samskara. But then someone will say, 50 rounds is too much. I cannot. When Prabhupada was to give first initiation in 26th Avenue, so some of the disciples, they said, what would be our commitment? The Prabhupada said 64 rounds. They said, no, we cannot chant 64. And the Prabhupada said, all right, 32. They said, no, we cannot chant it. America, no? And the Prabhupada said, 16. Better minimum. And then somebody asked a question about regarding a husband and wife. So if I want to have a child, what is the procedure? Or Prabhupada said, husband and wife, they should chant 50 rounds. And then this person, I don't know whether it's the late Brahmananda. And then he said, better to just forget it. In other words, 50 rounds. What? And if you want to have a powerful child, and we've seen some of the results of those type of big sacrifice. So everything has some scientific value. We just have to apply these principles in our lives. And on this planet, in this very life, we will be happy performing our devotional service. We will have children who will become a source of joy for the rest of our life. But if we don't follow the standard, prescribed, we will get into trouble. We will get a situation where we just hate ourselves. Yeah. Any other last comment or question? Yes, please.
Right, Bobby, just Sunny UK. Obviously, since the 70s, ISKCON's attitude towards, say, material education has improved. It's more positive.
Sure, yeah.
But sometimes I think that it can go too far the other way. Like you said, where the material education almost eclipses the spiritual simplicity. The village Vaishnava type of thing, where they don't get the same opportunity maybe to go to university, but they're more devotional. They maybe have more bounty. Mm-hmm. And do you think there's a part, that that person can't give class because they haven't got a degree or something? Of course, is it possible you can get too far? That is concerned.
No, I don't think it's going to get too far the other way, because at least I know for the second generation, we will not allow it. Yeah, because we need a balance. And see, we don't go to God, back to God there with the degree. You can go to back to God there with devotion. Yeah, we need our children to acquire high skills, educational skills, in addition to their devotional cultivation, just for the purpose of being able to fend for themselves in a nice, comfortable way without having to work too hard. I was in one state sometime in America. The gentleman and his family, they hosted me. And this man, he works for a company. He has 3 master's degrees. So I asked him, this devotee, that, why you have to waste your time like this studying to get 3 master's degrees? You could have just gone straight to get a PhD. He said that, Maharaj, all of these degrees, they are connected with my job. And now they made me a director, so I don't go to work. I just stay at home. I make calls here and there. Go do this, go do this. And I face my preaching. Yeah. So I said, okay, you're smart. So we have to look at what is available. How does that positively help us in our Christian? The core is Christian culture. Yeah. Thank you. All right. In the absence of any other comments or questions, we would like to adjourn this meeting. Srila Prabhupada,